All right. I am live. Let me see here. Just getting some things lined up. Getting some things lined up on a Saturday. Happy Saturday. And what is up, true believers? It's Mason here with Comics and Crosses, where we discuss the eternal truths behind our modern mythology. And I'd like to welcome you to a very special True Believer show, where I'm going to talk about today Multiverses, talking about all these new multiverse movies that are coming out. You got the Multiverse of Madness, that have come out recently. Multiverse of Madness. You got Across the Spider-Verse. You got the Flash traveling through and screwing up multiverses. So hopefully you all have been enjoying all this fine nerdy entertainment that's out there in the world. And hopefully people have gotten to see some of these movies, some of these different things going on. Yeah, it took me a while to finally see The Flash. I have two small children, and we moved to a different state a couple years ago, and so not as much help, as we would like. Been a busy time, busy things going on, two small kids, and so anyhow, but I finally got away. My wife was kind enough to oblige me, and we got to see The Flash, the new Ezra Miller Flash. That all the talk that I had heard about it up to this point about The Flash was that it was a bomb, that it was totally just was losing money at the box office, and people weren't interested, and so I came in with really low expectations, honestly. I was not expecting The Flash to be very good. I had heard the CGI was terrible. I had heard, it was maybe a mess. And also, so I came in with that. And secondly, I've never really cared for Ezra Miller's Flash. He is Barry Allen. He just, to me, was not Barry Allen. He was not, I think that when they were making Justice League, they needed a comic relief, and they chose him to be kind of a young, goofy Flash, but a little too goofy. Like, beyond Marvel silliness. I know it's not a Marvel movie, but as if they were going for that, and they kind of accidentally stumbled and tripped into a level of just dorky, odd, goofy weirdness. So yeah, I wasn't a big fan of Ezra Miller's Flash, but I will say, spoiler warning. Obviously for the Flash, but spoiler warning for kind of how it ends out. By the end of the movie, I had thought that he had really earned his place as a hero. He had really become a hero. He went through things, he learned some lessons, and he actually, to me, was a respectable hero. He had earned it by the end of this movie, The Flash. So, I will say, gosh, oh yeah, there's some emotional moments in this movie. But all of this to set up the fact that it made me want to talk about multiverses. So, the idea of a multiverse, if it's foreign to you, hopefully not, but is the idea that there are multiple universes out there that are similar to ours, but things are slightly different. In this movie, Barry travels to a different multiverse, a different universe where his mom lived, rather than dying when he was very young. Obviously, something like that would have a great impact on a child. And so the whole movie kind of centers around that. But you're seeing this idea pop up a lot now. Marvel has basically, after the whole Infinity Saga, which was the whole Thanos part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where he was trying to gather Infinity Stones, has decided to go in this same direction that we kind of see happening in The Flash. The idea of multiverses, of things happening that are affecting multiple universes at once. We see this in the Multiverse of Madness. We see this in the Loki series, where there's actually people who are trying to preserve a particular timeline. So there's also other movies like, say, Across the Spider-Verse, which is, since it's animated, it's sort of its self-contained thing. It's not exactly part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Sony owns the rights to Spider-Man. So, um, but even there, you see this whole concept of expansive multiverse of Spider-Man out there that are just doing their own thing, but also very similar. Almost they're connected in a webbed sort of way, um, and yet they're all different. But there are certain across the Spider Verse introduces this idea that there are certain beats that they all hit. So you're seeing multiple Spider-Man universes. You're seeing, the Marvel characters deal with issues across multiple universes, and you're seeing even these DC characters, which DC is a whole story into itself because this movie sort of ends and resets the DC extended universe before the new DC universe by James Gunn kicks in. So, all this to say that there's a lot of multiversing going on right about now. So, but why is it? Why are the multiverses happening? Was it really, maybe it was just the logical next step? I mean, after the Avengers time travel and save the universe, maybe we needed to go bigger somehow, and maybe it's not enough to save one universe. You have to save multiple universes. That could be it. So we see that happening. But from an audience perspective, I wanted to break this down in a couple ways. So one is the audience perspective. Do movie audiences need to see now things that affect multiple universes? Or could we not just have a regular hero story? Could it not build to something else? I mean, there's been a lot of new characters introduced in Marvel, and maybe they, can all build to their own new event. But there is this sense that we're kind of going bigger and grander and greater. So here's what I think multiverses actually speak about people in general. Okay, so let's think about this. So, and I thought that the Flash movie really displayed this excellently. So, in this story, Barry is basically finds himself dealing with issues across multiple universes because he had a desire to change the way his life was affected by something very serious. So he lost his mother when he was a young boy, and he started to wonder, what if I could change something? What if there's a place where my life didn't end up the way it did? And I think that's really at the heart of this. And actually, I think that's why The Flash is a good movie. Because so many people look at their lives and they say, what if things had gone different? I'm not very old myself. I have not yet entered my 40s. And yet there are some ways that I look at things and ask, what if it had gone differently? So what if it had? What if there's a way or a place out there where my life is the way it was supposed to be, at least in my own opinion? And this is a very big concept. And so the Flash deals with this. The Flash talks about, without saying it, talks about fate and things that are bigger than ourselves, things that we can't change. No matter how much we'd like to influence things, there are things that we cannot change. And so Barry in the Flash movie is faced with this idea and ultimately comes to grips with it and accepts it, even releases things that he would like to try to change because he realizes that it's not meant to work that way. Which is kind of cool. I mean, I think there's a Christian concept in there of acceptance, of not having the power to mold things into your own image. Even from Adam and Eve, they had to look at the world around them and they had to accept that God had the best in mind for them. But the lie that they adopted was that God didn't really know what was best for us, and if we knew and could make our own decisions, we would do it better. So very foundational, and I think that a lot of the things that I've talked about on this channel and a lot of I think noteworthy things in storytelling are very universal like that. They tap into a very grounded idea or belief system at the core of who we are as people. So, so I think that's why this idea of multiverses is coming up is because if you tap on that idea for people that there are other possibilities out there, um, what if there was a way to change it? I don't think ultimately that things should be changed, because these always lead to problems. The butterfly effect. Even Batman gives a warning in the Flash movie that Barry, you should not go down this road. It could be catastrophic. You could destroy the universe, and we kind of see that. We see how that starts to happen, and um, so I'm glad that there is some sense of um, reality in that. There is some sense of right and wrong, which we don't get as much these days in these hero movies. Morality seems to be a little more elusive to today's writers. But what do you think? What do you think? Is that why multiverses are popping up, or is it just that audiences need bigger and better? They need more stakes, and is it working? Where is it working? Since The Flash didn't succeed so much as a movie, I guess you would say that it didn't work there. Although I thought, as a film standing on its own, I thought that it was a great movie. I thought it had a theme, a through line that was consistent in the movie. It does have some flaws. There is pacing issues in the middle, and there's kind of too many beats and things that need to happen in order for the story to progress to where it became a little kind of complicated, and couldn't devote really reasonable time to kind of the changes that Supergirl in particular had to go through. Although she was kind of likable, you did care about her because she was trying to help and do the right thing, but still didn't know enough about her. So while I am kind of reviewing The Flash as I talk about this, this is meant to be about this subject of multiverses. So what do you guys think? Are multiverses good? Are they going to fizzle out? Are people not interested in them? The box office overall has not been doing well. With all these, there's talk of superhero fatigue, and I would say that seeing the Flash movie, I thought that, wow, here's a movie that every comic book fan should really support, because it felt like a big blockbuster movie, but it also felt like a comic book. I mean, I was surprised that they took it as far out there as really they should have. If you know the Flash comics, shout out to the Flash. If you know the Flash type of stories that are told, they really are these kind of wild adventure, super sci-fi-y, kind of crazy stories. So I thought it made a lot of sense, and I was surprised and glad that they went there. But I felt like it worked. I felt like it worked. It took people on a wild ride. I think that why the movie didn't work is a whole other conversation. There's a lot of reasons that DC's kind of shot themselves in the foot. But even at Marvel, they have Loki, which I think was pretty successful on Disney Plus. They have a number of movies that have come out that I don't think have been performing super well. So, but also a lot of new characters. So let me know what you think in the comments. Are you excited about multiverses? Is this a good thing? What excites you about it? I think one other layer to this on the audience side is that you get to see a lot of things when we talk about other possibilities out there. There's obviously pulling in of other movies. Like in No Way Home, like at the end of The Flash, where you see some DC characters, kind of funny. Obviously I'm talking about the movie, but you get to see finally the world was not ready 30 years ago, but we finally got to see Nicolas Cage as Superman, which is quite a sight to behold. But possibilities are just from a fan perspective, from an audience perspective, all the different worlds out there, all the different it sort of is anywhere your imagination can go. That's what the multiverse represents. It's kind of limitless possibilities, which is kind of cool in comics, kind of makes some sense, although it can be frustrating from a continuity and just especially on the DC side, just all the stuff they've done multiverse wise. But You know, it's an idea that they're working out in general audiences right now, and we'll see, does it play out well. I think if they can really culminate these things into Secret Wars in a way that pleases audiences and makes people happy, then I think it'll be a success for Marvel. We'll see how DC does it. I think they're kind of winding their things down as Marvel's kind of winding their things up. So we'll see where that goes. I thank you. I appreciate you for checking out this video. If there's any way, let's see, I'm trying to grab my screen here. If there's any thoughts that you have, please share them in the comments, and I hope to see you all again sometime soon. Adios.